Hello, good evening. Welcome. Shir Likutey Moharan, Torah 23, Chav Gimel. We just about we're about to finish the inyan of the paragraph Gimel. Paragraph Gimel basically tells says about the that when Taivas Momen, which is Avodah Zarah, can be rectified through the Tikkun Bris Kodesh. That is, moral sanctity. And because the bris is melach, salt, and melach sweetens the bitterness and the dress of the parnasa. So we said, the last thing that we said was that Pchinos Matzah or Moitza. This is Sif Gimel, which is after we say that it says Matzah or Moitza is Chazal said in Eretz Yisrael when a person was married, they would tell him Matzah or Moitza. They ask him. Was the pasuk where a woman is mentioned in connection with matzah, or in other words, in past tense, or moitza, when you found a wife? So, is it you found a wife or you're finding a wife? What's the pshat? Because there's a pasuk that says, Matzah Isha, Matzah Toiv. If you found a woman, you found good. And there is another pasuk that says, Chas v'chalila Moitza ani mar mimavas Isha. I find the woman more bitter than death. So when you're talking about a good woman, Matzah Isha, Matzah Tov, you're saying in past tense. Found a woman, found good. It says, I find the woman in present tense, more bitter than death. So they asked them, did you find a good woman or a bad woman? It's Matzah or Moitza. There are a lot of different drashim on this matzah moitza. The most common one is that a person tends to take the good things in his life for granted. So actually to the point that he basically zeroes out all the good stuff into, okay, that's reality. This is coming to me. But a person never gets used to bad stuff. So if a good stuff, came to you, if you found a good woman, it means you no longer appreciate it. Take it for granted. Matzah, you found, means is that you found a good wife. Moitza, that thing that you're finding every day, that is that which is bitter, that which is more bitter than death. This is what you find every day, because you never get used to it. Truth be told, of course, that every marriage has mostly of this, mostly of that, whatever. But all marriages have good and less than good, less than pleasant, and we only notice the stuff that we don't like. The stuff that we like, we take, oh, obviously, I mean, that's my marriage. What do you expect? Anyhow, that is the drush on this particular matzah meitzah. Rabbeinu uses it here in a different dershal remez, and he says that ki parnasa b'chinas isha. Parnasa is a b'china of isha. And in another Torah Likutey Moharan, Rabbeinu says that the entire money that the person has is due to the nefesh of his wife. That's why Chazal say, if you want to get rich, honor your wife. Because the money comes from the light of her nefesh. So Rabbeinu says that when a person steals from another person, he guzzles from another person. So the Gemara says it's as if Hayireh Parnasas Chavera, anybody who diminishes his friend's parnasa, Ki'ilu Bal Ishtay, as if he was with his wife. So parnasa should be tzavon, the parnasa which is done with duress, with effort, with sorrow. Ibchinas moitze ani mami mavesa isha. I find the woman, the parnasa, more bitter than that. And we're using why more bitter than death. What are we using here? He says, Pchinos merirusa de alma. This is a remez in this pasuk about the bitterness of this world. Shetzorich la'amtiko de melech, that has to be sweetened through the melech, through the tzaddik, through the shmiras habrista, through the breaking of greed. Kaniska la'el, as we said before, ilmalei milcha, if it wasn't for salt, la'aviyachil alma mizbal merus. If there wasn't salt in the world wouldn't be able to withstand the inert bitterness in this world. So, in other words, when you don't have salt, that's inyan of salt, then the inyan of isha, of parnasa, comes to you with great bitterness. And the same thing works the other way around. Parnasa de kedusha, when the parnasa is the way it's supposed to be, is kedusha, then matzah isha matzah tev. Then you found a woman, you found good. What is good? Obviously you found salt here, right? So what is good? Toiv, matzah isha matzah toiv. What is toiv? Toiv is pchinas tzaddik. The tzaddik is called toiv. Shu pchinas bris malach. That's the covenant of salt. Shu mamtik mirus. That's the one. That's the thing that ameliorates the bitterness. Hainu tavas v'yitzov and parnasa. In other words, it ameliorates the taiva of greed and parnasa. And this parnasa shu pchinas smach zvulun b'tzeisecha. This kind of parnasa is. We find it with, it says about the bracha of Zvulun, Smach Zvulun b'seisecha. Zvulun, you be happy as you're going to do business, because when a person is zoche to break the greed tavis moment, and he believes that Kadosh Baruch Hu can sustain him with, with a slight reason, a little shtadlus, this is zoche to simcha. What is the story of Issachar? There are two Shvatim. One of them was Issachar, and the other one, his brother, is Zvulun. Now Issachar had his land, his lot, was in the Valley of Israel. That's around, close to where Tveria is and all that area. Now that was the best land you can think of. It was a valley, and there are mountains around it. So being that it's a valley, the sun shines on it, and it gets plenty of sun. From the mountains, it receives the water. All the water from the mountain come down automatically. You don't have to work hard. And the land of Issachar was blessed. So because Genoiso the Chazal say like the most unbelievable things about the sweetness, the quality of the fruits of the valley of Genoiso. That's the valley of Israel. That was the Nachla of Issachar. Okay. Zvulun was his brother, and Zvulun was, his lot was next to the sea. So Zvulun came to Issachar, and he came to him, and he said, listen, Issachar, you have a gewaldige land, unbelievable land. You can grow the most incredible fruits and vegetables. Like the entire world doesn't have such fruits and vegetables. So you can be very successful. You can open up an Osha'ad, you can open up Yesh Chesed, you can open up a lot of different outlets, and you'll be making a pretty penny. But you, Issachar, are also a prodigy. There's no one in Am Yisrael that has such a deep, sharp mind like the children of Issachar. And the children of Issachar, they know comprehension of times. And they knew the secret of Ibor, of the years and the month. That's not the Ibor to just make a leap year, whatever it is. So the Ibor is the highest secrets of Kabbalah. In other words, and they said to Issachar, listen, if you're going to become, an agronomist or a farmer, so yeah, you'll be making hand on a fist. However, there's nobody in Am Yisrael that can learn Torah like you. So this is an irreparable loss. So here is what I suggest, says Zvulun. You sit down and learn Torah. And I, Zvulun, will come and till the land and take the fruits and be in the import-export business. I'll export the fruits, and we will split everything in half. The money that I have, I'll split in half and give to you, and the schar that you have from learning Torah, half will come to me. And this is what they did. This is the source of the famous agreement of Issachar and Zvulun. Issachar and Zvulun agreement. I take care of everything that you need. I marry off your children. Everything that you need, I clothe everything. You sit and learn. And it's not that Issachar has less schar for the Torah, or that Zvulun has less money. By Zvulun breaking his greed and supporting Issachar, who is the tzaddik, Issachar gets a full schar, and Zvulun gets his full schar. They get a double schar, and they don't lack any money. And Zvulun had the tchelis. that fish in his place. That was the color at the time. During the time of the Roman Empire, it was illegal for anybody except people of high standing to color their garments with chelas. It was so expensive that if you were not at the proper level, proper class, you are forbidden to paint your clothes with the chelas. Such a beautiful color. So Zvulun made a lot of money, but the money that he made was totally clean from greed. You want to make money, gesundheit, but if you need to subjugate, do it without taivas mammon. Subjugate your business acumen to Torah learning. If you do that, then bevakasha, the more money you make, the better. Because all the money that you make is avodas Hashem. As Rabbeinu wrote, I think it was his brother-in-law, that he wants him to dafka do business, and he told him that your business is tzarech gavoya, is a himmelzach. It's a thing that they need in Shammai. When Zvulun, when you go out to do business, be happy. When a person is zeicher to break his greed, and he believes that Kodesh Baruch Hu can give him parnasa with just a small shtadlus, he's zeicher to simcha. This is bechina motza isha motza teiv. You found a woman, you found good. You found a parnasa without taivas moment. You found good. And what is good? Ven tov el tzadik, hainu bris. Tzadik, who is the bris, is bechinas. This is the motza isha motza teiv. How do we know that tov is the tzadik? Tov is the bris. It says ve'imru tzadik ki tov. There's a pasuk in Shayahu. It says the tzaddik is called tov. Say a tzaddik that is good. The tzaddik is called good. And the tzaddik, how is somebody called a tzaddik? Because tzaddik is a bris, b'chinas bris. Anybody who guards his bris is called a tzaddik. K'moshe Kozel, it says about Moshe Rabbeinu. What it says, v'teroto ki toivu. And when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, they saw him, she saw it, and he was good. What does it mean he was good? They said that he was born already circumcised. That's what Chazal say. And he says, so you see that Toiv is referring to bris, is referring to Kedusha, is referring to Tzaddik. Then Toiv al-Or. And here we make another inference that good is light. K'moshe Kosev, it says in Bereshis, right? Vayar Elokim es ha'or ki Toiv. You saw the light, it is good. And what light is good? What kind of light is it? The Or upon him. That light which is Zoicha. When you are connected to the Tzaddik, when you're connected to Kedushas Abris, to Tikkun Abris, that then you're connected to Or upon him, to the light of the Pnei Hashem, the light of Pnei Hashem. V'zeh b'chinas v'alayich yizrach Hashem, and upon you Hashem will shine. B'chinas chus hashoni, as we said before, that's the crimson yarn, the roite bindle, and somebody who is zeicher to break the taivas moment, he is zeicher to find to matzah isha matzah tov. You found isha, you found parnasa, you found good, you get parnasa with simcha, it's b'chinas tov, that's b'chinas bris, and that is b'chinas or upon him. The minute you're connected to or upon him, everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is all right. The parnasa is good. Life is good. You're calm. You're relaxed. No problem. But when a person is medubek the ponim sitra achra, with the dark face, his life is full with worries and feeling, this guy is out to get me, and this is that. Plus, not be David Mekadosh Baruch Hu. So there it's or upon him, bris, toiv, motza isha, parnasa, everything is b'china achas. Why? Because bris, you're zoiche a bris, you're zoiche to or upon him. So this is now we're getting to Seif Dalet. Now Rabbeinu introduces another point. Right until now, we learned that this Indian of Parnasa. Now Rabbeinu says to us, is a v'zeh b'chinas mezuzah. Everyone has a mezuzah on his door, right? Besides the fact that the mezuzah is a mitzvah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you're supposed to have mezuzah on your doors. Mezuzah have many different properties, many sgulos. Kisem HaMedrash, okay, lama, what is called mezuzah? Lama nikoshman mezuzah. Lama nikoshman zuzeh. Why there's a money? In Chazal is called zuzeh, zuz. A coin is called zuz. It doesn't matter what denomination of coin. As we said, we're going to say B'dat Hashem, Le'al Seder, the Zabin Abba, Bitri Zuzeh, that Abba bought, with trei zuzim, with 2 coins. So it says, why are they called zuzim? Why are they called zuz? Why is it called zuz? Because the money keeps on moving. Zaz means to move. Lazuz means to move. So why are they called? They're called movables. Money is called movables. Why is money called movables? Because nobody gets money in order to eat it. You don't eat money. People will eat money, Hashem Yerachim. You get money in order to go ahead and buy food, and whatever it is, or give tzedakah, whatever it is. Money is something that moves. And one of the unique properties of money is the fact that money is a transferable value. There's nothing else to money except there's a value that is being transferred from one to another. That's the whole thing. And there's no way that money can ever move between 2 people without it having either a very good meaning or a very bad meaning. It's never neutral. Either, as we'll find out soon, either you're doing it masamat be'emunah, as Rabbeinu speaks about here. In other words, then the money is very, very good. Or chas v'chalila, a person steals from somebody else. It's very, very bad. A person lends to somebody money, it's very, very good. If a person doesn't pay back, it's very, very bad. You'll see that any transaction, money is a very, very sensitive issue. It can very easily be corrupted. Because in the Shirish, Baruch Hu says, Liya kesef v'liya zov. In the money there are the primordial supernal colors. In other all the spheres, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, it's all in the money. He said the shorsh of a nefesh of a person comes from money. Money is basically a crystallization of an extremely high and sophisticated concept. So that's why it's so sensitive, so could easily be corrupted and less easily be used for Kedusha, as we'll say that this is the Indian of Emunah, as we say before, Kedusha Sabris and the Emunah. Why it's called Zuzim? Zuzim is because it's moved from one person to another. And the name Zuzeh, moving, is the name of mezuzah too. It's one thing. Why? Because mezuzah has a propensity, has a sgula, if you want to, mezuzah diminishes taivas moment. It has a propensity, a sgula, to diminish your greed. V'zeh vaya shadai betzarecha. And the name Shakai Shin Daled Yud will be betzarecha. What does it mean? Hainu, it says vaya shaka betzarecha. says in Iyov, v'chesef toyafos lach. And the money is kaviyachol flying to you. In other words, through mezuzah, in the mezuzah we write the name Shin Daled Yud, right? Yeah, on the outside. This is the thing that shows through the little hole in the mezuzah, right? So, and it says about the Shem Shaddai v'chesef toyafos lach. The way that we understand it in Hebrew, it means that your parnasa is flying to you. Within seconds, it's in your bank account. But really, toyafos, the original usage of the word toyafos means double. And we say in the Megillah Afa. It says here is as a Megillah Afa. This says a Megillah that is doubled over. And when it says about the Chosh and Mishpat, it says Zer Orkoi Zer Chochboi. It says that is doubled. It says Ayef. Ayef is Afifa. This is the Indian of double. In other words, anybody that has a mezuzah and he wants that, and he wants to break his greed, through this, v'chesef toyafos lach. Chazal said, what does it mean? Al dei zeh parnasoso imo fefes lach. This lead, if Shaddai betzarecha, if you have the name Shaddai, Shaddai is the name of Sfiras HaYesod. If you're Shmiras HaBris, then kesef toyafos lach, you're going to have double the money. And that money will be doubled and redoubled and redoubled. Because when a person breaks his taivas moment, parnasa comes easily to him. You don't have to work hard for that. And the reason for it, because Shadayu B'chinas Bris, the name Shin Daled Yud is the name of Sfiras HaYesod. It means, Kadosh Baruch Hu said that name. What is the name Shin Daled Yud? Sheyesh dai belokusi l'chol bria. It says that everybody has enough. My godliness fills everybody's needs. There's no need for greed. Shaka also means when the heavens, the firmament, kept on expanding. Kadosh Baruch Hu say, "Die." Sha'oma lamo, die. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, "Shaka Shin Daled Yud, Sha'oma lamo, die." So you see here two opposites. On one, it means to put a limit to something. On the other, it means to fulfill everybody's needs in abundance. You don't need anything else. You don't need no avodah zarah. You don't need to run after money. You don't need to do all this. Both meanings are intrinsic in the Shem Shaddai, Shin Daled Yud. And it says, B'Shaddai is B'chinas Bris. Kmo shekosov, Ani Kel Shaddai. I am the Kel Shaddai. And what it says, pray orve. Now go ahead, be fruitful and multiply. This is B'Kedusha. So with the mezuzah that has the Shem Shaddai in it is a bechina of Shmiras HaBris. So we find here another propensity for mezuzah. You have, first of all, you have to make sure that you have kosher mezuzahs, mahuda mezuzahs in your doors. It's a shmira. It has a segula to lessen the taivas moment, and it has also the segula for Shmiras HaBris. V'zeh shedarshu Chazal, that's what Chazal said, Aseres HaDibros hem b'kriyas Shema. You can find the Shmiras HaBris alluded to, whatever is written in Kriyat Shema is also written in a different way in Aseres HaDibros. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. In Aseres HaDibros is Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I'm Hashem, and so forth, each and every Dibra. Now, the Dibra lo sachmod, thou should not covet, ukeneged uchsavtam al mezuzot beitecha. This is parallel to, and you should write them, have mezuzahs on your doorsteps. Why? Ki de mezuzah nisbatel chendas hamomen. We have to understand that Rabbeinu is giving us all the different tricks of the trade of how to circumvent things that otherwise will be very, very difficult. Because Sefer Amidus is totally constructed from this particular. It's a map. It's a roadmap of how things are connected under the engine cover, under the hood. So this is connected to that. So Rabbeinu is telling us, listen, you want to eradicate greed from your life. You want to get bitochen. You want to trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give you parnasa. Don't be afraid. You don't have to run out with tremendous yigiyas. It's not good for you. Okay, that's easier said than done. Everybody talks about it. You know, as the English say, you know, everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. You know, to talk about, shouldn't be so nebetza and so forth and so on. Okay, but to do it it's a very hard nisoy. So I'm telling, listen, mezuzah, if you are makbid on mezuzahs, and you make sure that your mezuzahs are Baruch Hashem, mezuzah, and you check them when you need to check them, and you're nizar, and that is, if you want to work on greed, Tavis moment, the mezuzah has the spiritual propensity to help you. If you don't want it, if you don't want it, you can have the fanciest mezuzah in the world. It won't do anything. And he says with this kal, "Dei mezuzah nisbadel chem das moment kanis kalais." We said before, melach, momen chaser. The melach, the tzaddik, the shmir sabris, is diminishing the tavis moment, as we said before. Zeu, and this is said in the pasuk in Tehillim, "Veziz shadai imodi." Ziz shadai imodi. Chazal said that this is it's a huge bird. It's a huge bird, that reaches all the way. This is Lemaisa, the Malach Matat, that exists in the Olam Eitzir. And the Rebbeinu says in the Torah that his head is all the way in Olam Abriya, his body, his nest is in Olam Eitzira, and his legs are in Olam Asiyah. So this is called Ziz Shadai Imodi. This is the enough of ziz lishon zuzim. The same root as zuzim. Hainu moment, money. The shadai imodi. Shadai, we say this is something. This alludes to shmir sabris, and alludes to mezuzah, as we said before. Alidei shmir sabris, through sanctification, sacredness. And al dei mezuzah, when a person doing the mezuzah, a person is zoiche lepchinas smach zvulun. A person is zoiche that his parnasa is or upon him. His parnasa is simcha. His parnasa is nachas. I remember years ago that every once in a while, you see, the people that get mixed up with great debts, amount of debts, and whatever it is. So I actually was in a bar mitzvah many years ago, a bar mitzvah of somebody that me and my wife knew, and it was a very lavish bar mitzvah, and the husband that made the bar mitzvah, the father made the bar mitzvah, we came in, would hardly say hello, just go. And you see the guy was eating himself alive. Well, the matter came out later that he got into tremendous debts. And the whole thing crumbled down. When a person thinks that he needs to spend a lot of money and to borrow money and to go deeper, and even you need to have huge business and huge this, and otherwise you cannot do it, is chas v'chalila, a person is being stuck into ponim, anpin chashuchen, into darkness. It was heartbreak. And after, in fact, when everything actually came out, it was already a relief for him. Okay, so now everybody knows, that he is, he's in bad state. but at least it's out in the open. Talking about the mezuzah, this is ksav tam. Ksav tam is, when you're writing the words of the ksav tam have to be all connected. In other words, every single letter has to be, unless it's a hey, obviously, whatever it is, or a kuf, has to be connected, so there can't be in the middle of a line a hole or a skip, a jump, a space. If you're making a vav and in the middle there's a hole, it reads like a yud, it's possible. I mean, true that in such a case you can fix it, but you can fix it. But if you don't fix it, it's possible. So what do you learn? So Chazal says that sheyeksiva tama, there'll be a complete, perfect writing. What's alluded to in this? Ksiva tama ze bchinas v'Yakov ishtam. The bchinas Yaakov is emes. Yaakov is the opposite of avodas ha'ilim. Yaakov is the opposite of greed. Because it says, and that's what we said, Yaakov ishtam. Yaakov is the tzaddik, Reuven, Rishis Oini, and Yaakov ishtam val yadoi v'yichanes pnei ha'ir. That's, when he came and he parked at the face of the town, he fixed the currency, he fixed the greed, and he fixed some say he fixed mikvahs to them. So it's basically, greed and kedusha is the same thing. Longevity comes through mezuzah. Right next to chsavtam. He says, and you write them for mezuzahs on your post gates and your entranceways. And after it says afterwards, leman yirbu yameichem. Immediately, it says after yirbu yameichem. There's a klal in the limud Torah that posuk mikra nidrash lefonav. That you learn about, from whatever it is you're saying, by darshaning what is written before it. It says you write first. It says and you write it for your mezuzah. You put it in doorpost, and then it says, and you will live. You live a long life. You'll have longevity. You and your children, Bezat Hashem. So this is going through the klal of midrash of mikra nidrash lefanov. Is being what comes before it. Also, the klal of midrash, that mikra nidrash achrov, that mikra is being explained on what is written after it. This is a case of first, is when it said first it says mezuzah, and then it says, you live long life. So it says by having kosher mezuzahs, you're not mezuzah, you'll have a long life. Kalidei mezuzah. Because through mezuzah, you are zoiche to masal matan be'emuna. Ki emuna be'masal matan, that through emuna, in your dealings, in your business dealings, ba'orachayim, that brings the light of life. It's orapanim, that is life, as we already proved before. The Gemara says, Mikra nidrush lafanov. The pasuk is being darshaned before him. In other words, we darshan the pasuk, the mani buyim echem, to say it's connected to what's written afterwards, and what's written before it, you write on mezuzah and put on your post gates. But Rabbeinu explains here, al pi remez, something deeper. It's another remez. Mikra nidrash lefanov, the mikra, the pasuk, is being darshaned lefanov, leorapanim. When you are making mezuzahs, when you are diminishing greed, how? By masa matan be'emuna, hanu b'chinas orapanim, shu siman adachai. This is the orapanim, the light of Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is siman adachai, the Rachav. Last week we learned that Rachav, the whole story. When Pinchas and Kalev ben Yefune, the spies, came, Yeshua sent them to Eretz Yisrael. And Rachel told him she had a house in the wall of Jericho, and she told him, I'm helping you, I saved you, so return the favor, and when you come, we know that you're going to conquer the land, so and you're probably going to kill everybody here. We know that. So being that I did you a favor and I saved you, so do me a favor also and save me and my family from death. And she said, and give me a simon, give me a sign that I know that I can trust that that you will keep your word. I said, you'll give me a sign of emes liYaakov. This is of Yaakov. This is siman of the chai. This is simon of life, because truth. This is siman of the chai. This is or upon him. Is through mezuzah zechet to or upon him. Now we're going to go in Mitzvah Hashem. Let me see how many more minutes we have. I would like to, B'ezrat Hashem, next week to deal with this. Maybe we'll, this is something that needs to be learned, because it's Lamaisa, we're going to explain some deeper inyan, so we need to understand why Dafka, this inyan of mezuzah, the inyan where you place the mezuzah and so forth and so on. But the gist of it is that Chazal say that a person, they give you a good advice. If you want the money to remain by you, to succeed, so what you need to diversify. A third of your money should be in business, and a third of your money should be invested in real estate, and a third of the money you should have in your hands as cash. So what they did here is they balanced between, ROI and risk and potential gain. So this is what it says. It says the third in business. This is the greatest risk, but this is the greatest profit. Real estate. I'm not talking about somebody who's second real estate because that's his business. When you are investing in real estate, that means that you rent it out, that you live in it, that you plant it, whatever it is. So the profit is limited, but it's steady. It's a sure thing. Now, the cash in hand is a sure thing completely. This is why you have to cash in hand. If a deals come your way, you have money. You don't have to go borrow. You have cash in your hands. But cash in your hand doesn't yield profits. The bank says that they're giving you, percentage. How much percentage they give you in the bank. It's a joke. So Rabbeinu says that's why the mezuzah have to be in the shlish elyon, the upper third of the doorpost. Shlish elyon means that's the preferred third, because the main emunah, the main test with money is in business. This is where the dog is buried. This is where, a person can daven, and a person can do a lot of things and do stuff, whatever it is. When it comes to business, a person becomes an animal. And if not mamish an animal, then, if I say something which is not true, then maybe if I bend the truth a little bit, I'll look better and this and that. The main test is Masa Matan Be'emunah. At Hashem, we will stop here. At Hashem, next time, we'll go over this particular segment again. I don't know if we're going to do it next week, because next week is Dikas Chometz night, I believe, right? And or something like that. So this, probably whatever it is, it'll be we'll deal with Pesach, and at Hashem, next week we'll try to talk about Pesach as much as we can. So at Hashem, we will finish with that, And B'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless us. They will all be zoiche to Shmiras Habris. There's a matzah. Rabbeinu says matzah. Every matzah, another piece of matzah is another Shmiras Habris, another piece of Shmiras Habris. Gewaltige Zach. Holiness, the holiness of eating matzah. Every piece of matzah is Shmiras Habris. Gewaltig. So, B'ezrat Hashem will zoiche to Shmiras Habris, will be zoiche to Kedusha and Tahara, and be mekarev to the tzaddik. This is the number one lesson of the whole thing. Close to the tzaddik, connected to the tzaddik, loving the tzaddik, being one with him. We'll talk about it a bit more about Hashem. It's a Shabbos. Tomorrow night, Mitzvah Hashem, we're doing Likutey Moharan in the Breslov Besmedish in Mitzvah Hashem.